The geopolitics of climate change and its impact on biodiversity are complex and interconnected. Climate change is a global phenomenon that affects ecosystems and biodiversity across the planet, but its impacts vary across regions due to factors such as geographical location, socio-economic conditions, and existing vulnerabilities. Climate change disproportionately affects regions with high biodiversity such as tropical rainforest, coral reefs, and polar ecosystems. These areas are home to numerous species and provide critical ecosystem services. Rising temperature, changing precipitation patterns, and more frequent extreme weather events pose significant risks to the survival of many of such species. Climate change exacerbates the ongoing loss of biodiversity. Species unable to adapt or migrate quickly enough may face habitat loss, reduced food availability, and increased competition from invasive species. The loss of biodiversity can have cascading effects on ecosystem, disrupting ecological processes and reducing overall resilience. We need to understand that climate change and biodiversity loss have serious geopolitical implications. Regions rich in biodiversity may experience increased conflicts over resource as scarcity and competition intensify. Displacement of populations due to climate change impacts such as sea level rise or desertification can also lead to social and political instability, exacerbating existing tensions. Thus, this phenomenon of climate change poses serious threats towards conservation efforts. Conservation strategies need to consider the changing climate and its impact on species and ecosystems. Protected areas may need to be expanded or shifted to provide suitable habitats for species. International collaboration is crucial in this context to address transboundary conservation challenges and promote sustainable management of shared resources. Addressing climate change and its impact on biodiversity requires global cooperation. Mitigation efforts such as reducing greenhouse gas emissions are essential to limit further climate change impacts. Adaptations measures, including promoting ecosystem resilience and enhancing conservation efforts, can thereby help to mitigate the effects of climate change on biodiversity. Several international agreements address climate change and biodiversity conservation. The United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change and the Convention on Biological Diversity aim to coordinate global action to mitigate climate change and conserve biodiversity, respectively. The economic dimension is closely linked to geopolitics of climate change and biodiversity. Many countries depend on natural resources for their economies, such as agriculture, forestry, fisheries, apiculture, which are vulnerable to climate change impacts. Balancing economic development with sustainable practices and incorporating the value of ecosystem services into decision-making processes is crucial for long-term environmental and economic stability. In summary, we can suggest that the geopolitics of climate change and biodiversity involve complex interactions between environmental, social, and economic factors. Addressing these challenges require international cooperation, innovative conservation strategies, and sustainable development practices to ensure the protection and conservation of biodiversity in the face of our changing climate. Shoykot Kumar Bosu, Kalinga Chronicle TV, Kolkata Bureau.